The old office window rattled in its frame, a constant companion to the hum of the fluorescent lights overhead. My name is John, and I am an accountant. It started with a flicker in my peripheral vision, a subtle movement outside just beyond the edge of my awareness. I glanced out the window, expecting to see nothing out of the ordinary, just the usual cityscape, the sidewalks teeming with indifferent strangers going about their day. But what I saw made my blood run cold. Standing on the sidewalk across the street was a man. He was tall and slender, dressed in a dark suit just like mine. His hair was the same shade of brown, his face a mirror image of my own. It was me, or rather it looked exactly like me. Days turned into a blurry torment. My face haunted my every waking moment. I couldn't concentrate at work. My productivity plummeted. I needed to escape the confines of my office to clear my head. So I did something I hadn't done in months. I took a walk in the park. The crisp autumn air did little to soothe my frayed nerves. I walked aimlessly, hoping to outrun the fear that clung to me like a shroud. But it was no use. He was everywhere. The encounters became more frequent, more brazen. I would catch fleeting glimpses of him in crowds, a dark figure melting into the throng before I could get a good look. Once I even saw him on the subway platform, his face illuminated for a fleeting moment by the headlights of an oncoming train. Each encounter chipped away at my sanity, leaving me teetering on the precipice of madness. I tried to tell people about it, to confide in someone, anyone, but they didn't believe me. They thought I was going crazy. The lack of sleep was starting to take its toll. I was plagued by nightmares, vivid and terrifying. I would wake up in a cold sweat, my heart pounding, the feeling of his eyes on me lingering long after I opened my eyes. One evening, as I was leaving work late, I saw him again. He was standing across the street, partially obscured by the shadows of a nearby alleyway. He smiled, and the most unsettling thing about it was that he didn't blink. Desperation clawed at me. I needed proof, so I did the only thing I could think of. I went to the police. The officer on duty listened to my story with a mixture of amusement and skepticism. He told me to get some rest, to come back when I had something concrete to report. The police dismissed me as a crank. Stress-induced hallucinations, they said. Get some rest, they said. I had to prove it to them. My eyes darted across my desk, landing on the small black device recording me even now, the security camera. Driven by a desperate hope, I made my way to the building's security office. A lone security guard, his face illuminated by the flickering glow of a dozen monitors, looked up as I approached. I explained my situation, my voice trembling with a mixture of fear and urgency. Mike tapped away at the keyboard, his eyes scanning the monitors. On the screen, grainy and indistinct, was me, walking through the park, but something wasn't right. The angle shifted, showing the path from a different perspective, and there, walking on the other side, partially obscured by the trees, was another figure. My figure. The security footage had captured him. My doppelganger was real. The doppelganger's eyes were open, staring straight ahead, but they weren't blinking. Armed with the security footage, I went back to the police. This time, they had to believe me. This time, I had proof. The same officer sat across from me, his handlebar mustache twitching slightly as he watched the footage. He seemed less amused this time, a flicker of unease crossing his features. But the skepticism was still there. He called in his partner, the younger woman, who watched the footage with a detached curiosity. They whispered to each other, their voices low and conspiratorial. Look, Mr. John, we appreciate you bringing this to our attention, but there are ways to manipulate these security feeds. They didn't believe me. They called it a hoax, a prank, suggested I see a therapist. My frustration boiled over. I argued, I pleaded, I begged them to see reason, but my words fell on deaf ears. I left the police station feeling utterly defeated, the weight of their disbelief crushing me. The security footage, my only proof, was dismissed as easily as my words. The isolation was almost unbearable. My friends and family, already wary, now distanced themselves completely. Days blurred into nights, each one indistinguishable from the last. The outside world faded away, replaced by the suffocating reality of my own terror. The fear became a constant companion, a gnawing hunger that consumed me from the inside out. The phone rang, the shrill sound piercing the oppressive silence of my apartment. I stared at it, my heart pounding in my chest. I hadn't heard from anyone in days. Who could it be? A glimmer of hope flickered within me, quickly extinguished by a wave of cold, hard fear. What if it was him? Sleep offered no escape. My dreams were haunted by the unblinking stare of the Doppelganger. He lurked in the shadows of my subconscious, a constant reminder of the terror that awaited me in my waking hours. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face, a grotesque mockery of my own, leering back at me. The darkness whispered his name, a chilling symphony of fear that reverberated through the corridors of my mind. I became a recluse, afraid to venture outside my apartment. The walls, once a source of comfort, now felt like the bars of a prison closing in on me with each passing day. I was alone, utterly and completely alone. One night, driven by a desperate need for fresh air, I ventured out of my apartment. The hallway was dimly lit, the air thick with the smell of stale cigarette smoke and disinfectant. I kept my head down, my eyes darting from shadow to shadow, my heart pounding in my chest. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of fabric sent a jolt of fear through me. I could feel his presence, even though I couldn't see him. He was out there, lurking in the darkness, watching me, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. As I reached the stairwell, I heard a noise. It was a soft sound, almost imperceptible, like someone taking a step behind me. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. I listened intently, my senses on high alert, but the sound wasn't repeated. I told myself it was nothing, just the building settling, my imagination playing tricks on me. But a primal fear had gripped me, cold and unrelenting. I knew I wasn't alone. I took a step back, then another, my back pressed against the cold concrete wall. My hand instinctively reached for my pocket, but I was empty-handed. I'd left my phone in the apartment, my only lifeline to the outside world. A wave of dizziness washed over me. I had to get out of there. I had to get back to the relative safety of my apartment. Turning, I ran as fast as I could, my lungs burning, my legs screaming for mercy. But the fear lent me speed, propelling me forward like a hunted animal. I could hear the footsteps behind me now, heavy and relentless, gaining on me with every stride. The sound sent a surge of adrenaline through my veins, fueling my desperate flight. I didn't dare look back. I couldn't bear to see his face, to confirm the nightmare that was unfolding behind me. I burst through the door of my apartment, slamming it shut behind me and fumbling with the lock. My heart was pounding in my chest, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I leaned against the door, my eyes squeezed shut, trying to slow the frantic beating of my heart. I had escaped for now, but I knew it was only a temporary reprieve. He would be back. Days turned into weeks, and the fear became a constant companion. I rarely left my apartment, relying on deliveries for food and other necessities. The outside world had become a dangerous place, a labyrinth of shadows and whispers where my doppelganger lurked around every corner. I was a prisoner in my own home, my life reduced to a paranoid existence of fear and isolation. One day I received a call from an unknown number. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the phone. Could this be it? Was this the moment he finally made contact? A shiver ran down my spine, but another part of me, a desperate, hopeful part, clung to the possibility that it was someone, anyone who could help me. With trembling fingers, I answered the call. "Hello?" I croaked, my voice hoarse from disuse. "John?" a woman's voice replied. It was unfamiliar, but there was a kindness in her tone that gave me a sliver of hope. "My name is Sarah. I'm a friend of... well, I'm a friend. I think I can help you." My mind raced, trying to process her words. A friend? Who could it be? And how did she know about my situation? I had told no one. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. The line crackled with static. "It doesn't matter," Sarah said. "What matters is that I know what's happening to you. I know about your... double." A chill ran down my spine. "How?" I asked, my voice trembling. "That's not important right now," Sarah said. "Listen to me, John. You're in danger. He's getting stronger and he won't stop until he's taken everything from you." Her words echoed my worst fears. I felt a surge of panic rising in my chest. "What do I do?" I asked, my voice cracking. "There's a place you can go," Sarah said. "A safe house. I can get you there, but you need to trust me." I hesitated, torn. Could I really trust this stranger? But what other choice did I have? "Where are you?" I asked. "I'll send you an address," Sarah said. "But you need to be careful, John. He's watching you. He can't know about me, can't know about this call. Do you understand?" I swallowed hard, my mouth dry. "Yes," I whispered. "Good," Sarah said. "Get ready. I'll be there soon." The line went dead. I stared at the phone in my hand, my mind reeling. Was this a chance at escape, or was I walking into a trap? I had no way of knowing. But at that moment, anything, even the slimmest glimmer of hope, was better than the suffocating despair that had become my existence. The address Sarah gave me led to a dilapidated warehouse district on the edge of the city. Streetlights flickered, casting long, distorted shadows that danced menacingly across the crumbling asphalt. Rain began to fall, a cold, relentless drizzle that mirrored the icy dread gripping my heart. I spotted the building, a hulking silhouette against the storm-ridden sky. Its windows were boarded up, the paint peeling like scabs from a festering wound. The air around it felt heavy, oppressive, as if the very bricks and mortar were steeped in despair. I hesitated at the entrance, my hand trembling as I reached for the rusted handle. Doubt gnawed at the edges of my mind. Was this truly a safe haven? Or was I walking blindly into the jaws of my own demise? Sarah's words echoed in my mind, a lifeline of hope in the swirling vortex of my fear. "Trust me," she had said, but could I afford to place my fate in the hands of a stranger, even one who claimed to understand the nightmare that had become my reality? Taking a deep breath, I pushed open the door. The hinges groaned in protest, the sound like a death rattle in the stillness of the night. The interior was shrouded in darkness, the air thick with the smell of mildew and decay. I fumbled for the light switch, my heart pounding in my chest. The sudden glare of fluorescent lighting stabbed at my eyes, revealing a scene of utter desolation. The warehouse was empty, save for a few scattered pieces of furniture and piles of debris that looked like they hadn't been touched in decades. Dust motes danced in the air, illuminated by the harsh overhead lights. The silence was deafening, broken only by the steady drip, drip, drip of water leaking from a crack in the ceiling. Where was Sarah? And more importantly, was I truly safe here? A minute stretched into an eternity as I waited, my anxiety growing with each passing moment. The silence of the warehouse pressed in on me, amplifying the frantic beating of my own heart. I paced back and forth, my footsteps echoing hollowly in the vast emptiness. Where was Sarah? Had she led me here to abandon me, to face my fate alone in this desolate wasteland? Just when the weight of my despair threatened to crush me, I heard a noise, a soft thud from somewhere deep within the building. My head snapped up, my senses on high alert. The sound came again, closer this time, followed by a low, guttural moan that sent chills racing down my spine. Fear, cold and paralyzing, gripped me in its clutches. This wasn't Sarah, this was something else, something far more sinister. Cautiously, I made my way toward the sound, each step filled with a growing sense of dread. The air grew colder, the stench of decay stronger with every passing moment. Then I saw it, a crimson trail staining the concrete floor, leading toward a darkened doorway at the far end of the warehouse. My breath caught in my throat, my stomach churning with a sickening premonition. This wasn't the sanctuary Sarah had promised. It was a tomb, and I was walking blindly toward its heart. The air hung thick and heavy, saturated with the metallic tang of blood. The coppery scent intensified as I approached the doorway, sending a wave of nausea through me. My hand trembled as I reached for the doorknob, my mind conjuring up images too horrific to comprehend. Bracing myself, I pushed open the door. The room beyond was small and sparsely furnished, a single bare bulb casting long, grotesque shadows across the walls. And in the center of that room, lying in a pool of her own blood, was Sarah. Her eyes, wide with terror and pain, stared up at me accusingly. Her once vibrant auburn hair was now matted with blood, her clothes ripped and torn. Her chest rose and fell in shallow, ragged breaths, each one a testament to the agony she was enduring. "Sarah!" I gasped, rushing to her side. Her hand shot out, grasping my wrist with surprising strength. "John!" she whispered, her voice a raspy, gurgling sound. "Don't trust anyone." Her grip tightened for a moment, then went slack. Her eyes lost their focus, her body going still. Sarah was gone, murdered, but by whom and why? A wave of grief washed over me, followed by a surge of primal fear that threatened to consume me entirely. I was alone, hunted, and now, the one person who had offered me a glimmer of hope in this nightmare was gone. I sank to my knees, the weight of Sarah's lifeless body heavy in my arms. The metallic scent of blood filled my nostrils, a constant reminder of the horror that had unfolded before my eyes. Tears streamed down my face, hot and salty against my lips, but they offered no release, no solace. I was drowning in a sea of despair, the waves of grief and terror crashing over me, pulling me down, down, down into the abyss. The warehouse, once a potential haven, now felt like a prison, its walls closing in on me, suffocating me. The silence was deafening, broken only by the sound of my own ragged breathing and the frantic beating of my heart. I was trapped, alone with the ghosts of my shattered hope and the chilling reality of my situation. There was no escape, no sanctuary, only the cold, hard truth that I was living on borrowed time. As the initial shock began to wear off, a chilling realization washed over me. This wasn't just about me anymore. This wasn't just my nightmare. Sarah, in her kindness, in her attempt to help me, had paid the ultimate price. Her blood stained my hands, a gruesome testament to the danger I had dragged her into. I had to stop running. I had to face my doppelganger, to confront the evil that was stalking me. Not just for myself, but for Sarah, for the memory of her sacrifice, for the hope that maybe, just maybe, by stopping him, I could prevent this nightmare from consuming anyone else. A sudden sound pierced through the fog of my despair. A sharp, insistent rapping, echoing through the cavernous emptiness of the warehouse. It came again, closer this time, from the direction of the main entrance. Someone was at the door. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat of fear. Who could it be at this hour? The police? Had they somehow tracked me here? Or was it him? Had he followed me, drawn to this place of death by the scent of blood and despair? Slowly, cautiously, I rose to my feet. My legs felt shaky, my body heavy with exhaustion and dread. I picked my way through the debris, each step a monumental effort. As I approached the main entrance, the knocking grew louder, more insistent, as if the person on the other side was growing impatient. Taking a deep breath, I peered through a crack in one of the boarded-up windows. The figure standing on the other side was silhouetted against the streetlights, his features obscured by the darkness. But even from this distance, even shrouded in shadow, I recognized him. It was my doppelganger, and he was smiling. Terror, raw and consuming, seized me. My blood ran cold, my breath catching in my throat. It was him, my doppelganger, standing on the other side of the door. His smile, a grotesque parody of my own, seemed to widen as if mocking my fear. He knew I was here. He had led me here, to this tomb, this dead end. His hand, pale and long, rose from his side. I could see the glint of metal in the dim light filtering through the cracks in the boarded-up windows. A key. He had a key to this place of death, this monument to despair. He raised the key, sliding it into the lock. The sound, sharp and metallic, cut through the silence like a knife. Each click of the tumblers sent a fresh wave of terror through me, echoing the frantic beating of my own heart. My mind raced, desperately searching for an escape, a way out of this nightmare, but the walls seemed to be closing in, the air growing thick and heavy, suffocating me. I was trapped, with nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. This was it, the end. The door creaked open, a sliver of blinding light piercing the darkness of the warehouse, and then he stepped inside.